Hi, it's Nikki, and welcome back to Live a Little, your cozy corner of the internet where we talk about all of the in-between parts of life, the messy, unfiltered, and honest parts where you may not always feel like you have someone to share them with. But here we do it all judgment-free. I actually feel like at this point I could be highly sedated or like not in my body, but I would still be able to say the intro now. I remember when I just came back after Christmas, I was trying to do the intro and it was just not happening. I got like 2 words in and I was like, I'm speaking gibberish right now. But I feel like I could be thinking about a completely different thing. And like on default, my brain would just be able to say that one intro. It's like, like how you kind of never really forget your address. I feel like right now, I feel like it's that same thing with this intro. It's like I right now was not fully present while I was doing it, but I still got it out. I still did it because I'm doing it so much at the moment. But anyway, intrusive thought, 1-0. Welcome back to Live a Little, your cozy. Oh my God. I just started doing the intro. That is actually hilarious. That is so funny. I basically just proved my point. I need to be put in rice. Anyway. So for today's episode of Live a Little, I wanted to answer your questions again with another segment of Liver Letters. So I asked you on Instagram, very last minute actually, to send me in any questions or dilemmas or literally anything you wanted to ask me. And I have hand selected about 5 questions for us to get through. They're really good ones. I feel like you guys that listen to Live a Little really either have your shit together or are very insightful and very emotionally intelligent, because I mean some of these are very normal and you're going to be like, Nikki, what has this got to do with anything, being emotional or insightful? But then some of them are just very good questions. So let's get into them. I've picked out some ones that I don't really feel like I've answered before, or if I have, it's been a hot minute. Obviously, if you want to be a part of a Live a Letters episode in the future, make sure to follow our social medias, mainly Instagram, mine and the Live a Little Pod 1. Gonna start off with something chill. What are 3 comforting TV shows for me to watch after a hard mental health day? I love that question. I think there is not probably one show that Netflix or Disney Plus or Hulu or Prime, or I'm literally just promoting every single streaming platform right now. There is not one show that has not come onto my desk and I've not looked at. I would say comforting shows. I love anything The Office like. So I love The Office. I know most people have probably seen it, but it is like my go-to default show. Or Superstore is an amazing show. It's like The Office, but set in, guess what? A superstore. Or I love actually Abbott Elementary, which is on Disney. It's like The Office, but set in a, guess what? Elementary school. And it's just so, so good. And it's really easy and it's very simple. And I think sometimes when life feels so complicated or hard or like comparative or just feeling really heavy and difficult, you want to like strip it back to something really basic. So the fact that to me they're set in like really simple places like an office or a store or school all feels very like simple for me. I also love Modern Family. Modern Family again is kind of that same genre. Love Modern Family. It's about, guess what? A family. All of those types of shows I would highly recommend. But if you want a slightly more niche, and I do like reality TV because there's something about like watching other people's problems that kind of makes you feel better about your own in like a warped way. I did like Secret Lives of Mormon Wives or like Real Housewives. I have watched every Real Housewives series. My favorites are especially like New Jersey and Salt Lake City. I think the whole point of a comfort show is for it to be like escapism and something you can watch over and over and over. And for me, all of those kind of feel like that for different reasons. I'd probably say those. Next one. What is your favourite and least favourite thing about yourself if you were to do like a self-MOT? Oh, that's interesting. Least favourites, where do we start? I got a few. No, I'm joking. I always feel like when someone asks a question like that, you literally forget one thing you like about yourself, but go straight to what you don't. What do I like about myself? Well, I think I'm very compassionate and I'm very thoughtful. I probably, because of what I've been through, really, really try my best to put myself in other people's shoes. And my default is kind of leading with emotion to a detriment sometimes. Like I've said before, logic kind of goes out the door. If this is a spectrum of like a logical mental way of thinking and an emotional, I'm all the way in God knows where with emotion. I think for me, in a way, I love that about myself that isn't detrimental. It means that I truly approach situations with a lot of emotional empathy. So I feel like I am someone that's easy listener and like a safe person to talk to. And I really try and exercise that as well, because I know when I've not had it. You know, when you've not had something, you're so much more aware of that thing. I think about that a lot when, say, you can tell someone's left out in a conversation and they're kind of trying to like be a part of it, because I've had that so many times and no one like explain what they're talking about to me or just not acknowledge I'm there and I've joined the conversation, or I'm even in the conversation. It feels like a two-person conversation and I'm just literally there, like I'm just nothing, just there. I'm very, very aware of that and not doing what's been done to me, or I try my best to. Of course, we're all human. I'll always make sure to introduce people. I'll always make sure to make people feel welcome, I guess. That's something I would say. Yeah, I'd say those are kind of my main things. I'm very thoughtful. I'm like my mum in a way of like, if someone mentions something to me once, I will use the right moment to then like think about that and then do that thing that they've said that they love or like want to do or that means a lot to them. So I'm quite thoughtful in like my gift giving or like my acts of service or whatever for people. So I'd say that my mum's very similar. My least favorite, I'm very stubborn. If someone's upset me, mainly with like my siblings, like if my siblings have upset me, it's very different with friends, I feel like, because friends feels a bit more conditional in a way, because you're like, I could lose you a bit more easier. So my brain's kind of like, I need to be a bit more careful here. I'm very stubborn. So like if I feel like I've been hurt, I could easily just like not talk to you. I want communication and I want to talk it through more than anything, but you have to come to me to talk about it because you're the one that has caused the problem. It's like I can only see kind of one track mind. It's like I'm not very good at seeing grey area. I'm very similar to my dad. I'm not very good at like adapting. I'm very stubborn. I think it's because I also don't like being out of control. I've had so much of that in my life. My stubbornness in a way comes from not me being difficult. It's definitely not that. I'm not being stubborn for no reason. But I think it's like being stubborn maybe feels like holding on to a bit of control, I guess, maybe in like a warped way. So if I've had a disagreement with like, say, my sister, it's like, I want you to come to me to speak about it because you started the disagreement. So I'm not going to go to you, even though I really want us to communicate right now, because you should be the one that realizes. So I'll just let it go on and on and on. So that's, yeah, I'm quite stubborn and I'm not very good at change. And therefore I'm not good at plans changing. And if they do change, I'm not a fun person to be around. But I do try. I'm just like, I don't like not knowing. And then when the thing that I think I know, if it changes or we have to adapt, I'm not good at adapting. Another least favorite thing about myself, I say that's kind of the main thing, maybe because the other side of me being an emotional thinker and that being a great thing, in a bad way, it means that I go from 0 to 100 very quickly. It's also having PTSD. When you have complex PTSD, this is what I've learned in therapy. If this is your window of tolerance, this is like your baseline. You can have things come up that are in your rearview mirror that are annoying or irritating, but you're still kind of pretty steady with being able to like not let them affect you and kind of just operate on like a baseline and of normalcy. But because my life has been just extremes in every way, you come out of your window of tolerance very quickly. You bounce up or bounce below it very, very easily. And so it's kind of an extreme of how deeply something affects you. It's not you being oversensitive. And I think that's the worst thing that someone can tell someone with PTSD. So don't say they're oversensitive. It is literally that you feel stuff so much more deeply and extremely. It's like having a microscope on every single emotion. I'm a very, very deep feeler. But because of that, it means that I catastrophize so much because I'm feeling emotions to such a large extent. An inconvenience could happen and I'm not able to problem solve. I have zero problem solving skills and logic. It's literally like, fuck, everything's gonna end. I have tunnel vision. I can't see the perspective. I'm not very good at perspective. I have perspective when it comes to struggles. I know that someone's going through worse than me or someone's going through better than me. I have that perspective, but I'm not very good at in those situations of crisis or even just minor inconvenience, I kind of exacerbate them because I don't know how to deal with them and just kind of move on from them if they've bothered me because they've made me feel a type of way. I'd say that as well because I'm such an emotional thinker and feeler. Logic is not there, and therefore it means that I'm not, again, probably very fun to be around when I'm catastrophizing so much. So I'd say those are probably at the moment my biggest things. I think probably if you ask like my mum or someone that's with me all the time, she'd say them, I think, probably. I think my stubbornness as well. The fact that I don't like to admit I'm wrong, which is exactly like, she'll be like, you're just like your dad. You never like to admit you're wrong. Okay, next one. How do you build a personal sense of style? Because I absolutely love yours. Thank you. That's so nice. Goodness, I feel like I've had every single style under the sun, every category, every archetype you can think of, good, bad, and ugly. I feel like I'm definitely the most content with my sense of style because I'm most content with my sense of self. I think your sense of style massively is interlinked with your sense of self. When you feel more comfortable in yourself, I think it really allows you space to explore your sense of style because you feel more comfortable to and less judged to, and less worried about external validation and external opinions and stuff. I'd say for me, I found my sense of style when I allowed myself to experiment a little bit more, whether that be with colour, with cut, with fit, with multiple different types. I think as humans in every single way, like deeper than just style, we love to have to be able to put people in boxes and also put ourselves boxes to make sense of things and to label ourselves with things. So I think before I would love to like box myself into different style archetypes and I didn't feel like I could stray from them. Like it would be quite preppy where I'd always wear sweater vests, or it would be like kind of an emo-y phase I went through where it would be lots of like graphic tees and chainy cargos, or it was and or, not and, if that makes sense. It was like it had to be one or the other type of style, whereas I feel like now I've become very comfortable with not labeling what my style is and just not labeling myself with anything, because when you box yourself in is when you start to confine yourself. I think when you get too caught up with trends, which more now than ever is so easy to do when you're constantly exposed to this is in, this is out, this is good, this is not, this is cool, this is not, all of that. It's all a load of rubbish. And I think, like, of course, it's nice to play into stuff that's currently trending. Like, I do it. Of course I do. Stripes could be having a moment and then I'll want to wear stripes more because it's just, we're human and we absorb what we hear. But I think when you decenter, God, I love that word decenter, don't I? Things that are external to you and that are constantly swinging and shifting, like trends. It's the same with then in body type and everything. When you try and decenter the external part of that having an impact on you, it allows you to then like come into your truer self with that thing. Being able to decenter trends and what's in fashion and what's not, it's allowed me to really just find myself. I think also having less external noise and pressure. Like, I think when I was at school and I was in sixth form, I really deeply cared about what other people were wearing and playing into that to fit in, because when you're younger, all you want to do is fit in. It's like the worst thing on earth you could possibly do is stand out. And then as you get older, standing out is what you long for, is like actually having a sense of dissociation from the people around you. I think for me, it's when I left school, it allowed me to have time and space to distance myself from what I thought was the way that I had to be. Because I think my sense of style when I was younger was definitely street style by default, on the basis that it's what everyone around me was doing. And I've always really aspired to have more assurance in what I wear and things like that, and had a lot of respect for people that can. Like my friend Izzy has always kind of just worn whatever she feels like, and I think that's such a cool thing to have assurance in at such a young age when it feels really hard to. Finding your sense of style is literally just about experimenting, is about giving yourself the space to tell you that nothing is wrong. If you want to wear a skirt over your trousers tomorrow, then do it. The whole point of fashion is it shouldn't have confinements. Unfortunately, as the years have gone on, it's felt more restricted than ever in many ways, more than one, especially in who's wearing what, in the types of people. So therefore, sometimes you can feel like you can't wear that thing because of what body type you have, or you can't wear that thing because it's not your color, or all of that shit. But it's like, if you like the color red, then wear the red top. If you want to wear a dress that is slightly more figure hugging, then you do it. And I know there's so much, that's just a very baseline, topical, logical way of seeing it. I know it's not that simple. But if it's a case of you worrying about wearing things because they may not be for you, that's just a load of rubbish that society has just kind of put onto us to make us feel like we can be put into boxes of things. I think it's really allowing yourself to explore and to play. If you do want to experiment with a bit more color, I feel like a great way to do it that doesn't feel scary is through shoes. So like getting a fun pair of trainers or wearing like a fun patterned headscarf, like a bandana. It doesn't have to be like a garishly bright top for you to be able to experiment and have fun. I'd say that's the biggest thing. And also just realizing that your style is something that's constantly ever evolving with you and your personality. Selling stuff now that I used to love and that I used to wear and now wouldn't, but that's okay. It was for the time and it was for the purpose. There's no such thing really as bad style in a sense, because if it felt right for you at that time, then it felt right for you at that time. So of course I can look back at outfits and be like, oh, that wasn't great. I can also appreciate that I enjoyed it while I was in that time, and that's what served me at that moment of my life, basically. Okay, gonna try and breeze through the other ones a bit more quickly. What do you think is your hardest mental barrier to contend with at the moment? I really like that question. I would say, obviously, the constant mental barrier for me is to do with like my health and the impact my health has on my mental health. So I'm not gonna get into that, but a completely unrelated barrier I would say is me constantly striving for a sense of fulfillment, maybe, that I feel like I'm never satisfied and happy. I feel like we all do it. It's not like a just me problem. But I feel like where I'm like that at the moment most is in my job, where I just feel like I'm okay at lots of things, but not great at anything. Like I don't feel like I'm doing anything very well. And that's a me problem. It's like I know that I am, but it's like it feels like I can tell myself you are, and I can try and validate myself, and other people can tell me, no, you're doing so well. You're doing so much stuff. It's like the difference between getting a B in something in an exam and getting an A star. I feel like I'm a B at everything at the moment, about average, but I'm not amazing at anything. And I feel like that's my barrier at the moment, is the comparison where I feel like I'm trying to compare myself at a B to someone who's an A star at something. We all do that with our jobs and with life, and it's not in terms of like my appearance or anything. Like I'm over that. It's literally just in terms of work. And I think when social media becomes a massive part of your life and your work, unfortunately, it's easier than ever to compare yourself, who you think is a B, to someone who you think is an A star. But that person who's an A star will think they're a B and you're an A star. So you can never win. And it's definitely, it's not that simple. But I think that's probably my barrier at the moment, is that I don't feel like I'm great at anything. I think I'm okay at a lot of things. And I feel like I'm struggling a bit with that at the moment in my work. Last question. How do I handle my friends hanging out with someone who has wronged me? Oh, that is a good old question, because I've had this situation a few times. Okay, I think it's a really hard one, because when you are the said person that's been wronged, you instantly want to go to, why would you not just drop that person? Like, this person's really hurt me. How can you not see that they've hurt me, and how are you not affected by it and treating them as if they've done nothing wrong? I think it's such a hard one, because it is that thing of like, well, they've not done anything to me, as in like to that person, for them to then feel like they have to change their behavior around them. I think it really depends, what have they done? I think that's the first part. Like if it's like a really unethical thing, if your friends are acting as if nothing's happened with that person and just hanging out with them, I think that's a real your friend's problem. Because then it kind of is like, what are their morals if they think it's okay to condone this person's behavior by continuing to hang out with them and act as if nothing's happened? And also, if they care about you and your feelings and your place, there can be two sides of a story. I do understand that. But if it's really clearly there's a distinction between the right and the wrong, and they've done something wrong, then I think it has to be something where you question also your friend around you's morals. It's kind of like, when someone, I love an analogy, don't I? It's like when someone leaves a hate comment and someone else doesn't necessarily comment another hate comment, but they like that hate comment. So they're basically affirming that that comment was okay and it isn't. Or like when someone makes a comment and no one says anything, it's that same thing of like, by you saying nothing, you're saying everything. So I think it's really important to look inwards at your circle of friends and maybe think, when this has clearly, I've had this where I've actually just, my relationships with my friends and who I thought were my foundation of trust and safety have never been the same, because they could not take my side on something, or not even take my side, but even notice why I felt the way I did, and also really invalidated me by not noticing that, and also just continuing to hang out with someone or a group of people that had really hurt my feelings and been really terrible to me. What's really important is also not letting one friendship group in your life be your be all and end all. I think this is where it gets more important than ever to have friends outside of your life that are completely dissociated from this group of friends, because that is the problem when you have a fallout, is that when it's just one group of concentrated friends, is that then you don't have any external perspective because you're all in it and you all have different opinions and different personal relationships with everything going on. But equally, it means then you don't have anyone else that is a friend to go to when that one thing kind of gets taken from under you. I felt that a lot. For me, it's really important to try and find senses of stability outside of this foundation, this safe foundation that you thought you had of friendship. I think it's also looking at if this is something where someone's just made a mistake and they have tried to apologize and they have really tried to prove to you that they are trying to be a better person and a better friend, and it was genuinely just a mistake and not with ill intent or ill meaning, then I think you have to try your best to meet that person with a little bit of empathy, I guess. There's lots of factors that are to play here. What have they done to you? Have they tried to make an effort? Have your friends seen your side and made you feel validated? Have your friends stuck up for you when you haven't been there? There's lots of things to play here. Is this friendship worth continuing? And is this all worth it? If it's actually stressing you out, is it worth just walking away from these friends, even if it is difficult? I've had that recently where I was kind of like, I'm not going to make a show and a dance about the fact that they've upset me and they've chosen some people over me quite clearly and gone to their side when they really were horrible to me. I'm just going to distance myself, and it doesn't need to be this whole sing and dance. We're all adults here. We can all have respect for one another without it needing to be like a F you, like this big, massive thing. So I think it's also asking yourself, is this worth sacrificing your sense of peace for and your sense of security for, if this is already making you feel upset and insecure and invalidated and all of these things and angry about it? Is it actually worth it anymore? I think that's another question to ask yourself as well. And if not, try and seek that elsewhere, because there always is elsewhere. And actually, when you have friends and friendships that exist outside of that circle, it actually allows you to have a sense of comparison, and it allows you to compare what's going on here that may not be healthy to what is a healthy friendship and focus on those, which I've definitely felt a lot recently when I distance myself from this friend who we still follow each other, are on each other's private stories even, but we aren't really talking anymore, and we haven't really addressed why, but we also both know why. It gives you a sense of peace of mind, really, and a sense of perspective. These two friends that I was good friends with before, I've now become really good friends with because it's given me the space. Now I've been able to protect my peace to make space for another relationship that is healthy and that is serving and that will ride or die for you. It's like if someone's cheated on you and then someone's acting as if nothing's happened. It's like, no, if someone has hurt my good friend's feelings, I'm not going to be the same way around them because I physically can't. Because even if I'm going to try and act okay around you, I know that you've done someone I deeply love an injustice and made them feel upset and cry and all of these things. Like I said, if your friends can act the exact same with this person, I get that they all have individual relationships and you don't want to jeopardize anything. They don't owe you anything and all of that. I don't want people to just drop people for me, but equally, I know personally I could not act the same with someone who I know has done wrong or made someone feel a certain way or feel really upset. I think you have to look at lots of different things here and just work out what's worth it and what's not. And actually, leaving something behind could leave space for something even better, which I've realised. I feel like that is a good way to end. What a little good debrief and chat for another Live a Letters episode. I absolutely love this and your questions were so good. I think it's my favourite Live a Letters we've done so far. I love you guys and thank you for sending in your questions, and there's never anything too big or small you could ask me. I am always judgment free around here, so if there's any dilemma or question you need answering, I can't tell you that I am an expert in the field. I'm definitely not. I can just speak from my own perspective or what I would do. But I'm always here if you need someone to confide in, and I love you. So as always, remember to be kind to yourself and live a little. Bye.